Hi Cancer, welcome back to my channel Tarot C. I am Z and I'm going to be doing your tarot reading, finding out what are the messages with the cards that come out in today's reading for you. Thank you so much for joining and for being here for the reading. So let's begin. Let's find out what cards come out. What messages come through with the cards that will come out in this reading today for you. So the first card we have is the Four of Swords. It's in the reverse, but we do have air sign energy with this. You could be dealing with a Libra, Aquarius, or even Gemini. And we have the Six of Swords. It's also in the reverse. And we've got the Knight of Swords. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Two of Swords. It's also in the reverse. So this Two of Swords showing up in the reverse does feel like a sense of clarity being brought into the situation. I do feel like also being able to have clear communication leading to a sense of clarity. I also feel like with this Two of Swords, this also feels like somebody being in a space where they're ready to make a decision. I do feel like with the Two of Swords in the reverse, this feels like an energy of being able to have that sense of clarity brought into the situation because of somebody being in a space where it's like they're no longer being indecisive or wishy-washy. It feels like a sense of being able to actually get more insight into this person and where their head's at. I do also feel like this person also being in a better mental space because of being able to actually kind of get more so taking more so seriously a decision surrounding this connection. So with this Two of Swords, it does feel like kind of choosing between two options, and I do feel like this could be two options as far as two people, but this could also be two options as far as two things. I do feel like there's a sense of kind of having that stress of being in a space where somebody has to make a decision, being something that's kind of looming over your head or over their head, being taken away with this Two of Swords in the reverse. I do feel like with the Four of Swords showing up in the reverse, this does feel like an energy of being able to experience somebody who's in a space that does feel like a more free state of mind. I do feel like somebody being more so energized in this connection is also leading to being able to actually connect with this person from a more free space that makes things feel more so easier to flow between the two of you. I do feel like with this Four of Swords, this does feel like an energy of actually being able to hear from somebody where there could have been a period of withdrawing or a period where somebody may have been kind of like stuck when it comes to the communication. There could have even been what felt like no communication, but with this card in the reverse, this feels like a sense of this person kind of being in a space where they're ready to be able to communicate, they're ready to be open, and they're ready to reach out. I do feel like with the Six of Swords showing up in the reverse, this feels like an energy of kind of going back to something, kind of revisiting a situation, being able to be open to actually working something out as well. With the Six of Swords in the reverse, this feels like an energy of having a hard time moving on from something. So I do feel like there is no closure or even resolve for a situation. This feels like an opportunity to be able to have that in this connection or to give that to somebody. I do feel like with the Knight of Swords, this does feel like an energy of being able to have a sense of, I do feel like this person actually being in a space where they're ready to be able to open up and be able to communicate something or reach out. I do feel like they're actually in a space where it's like their actions are representative of that. So this Knight of Swords showing up over here, this does feel like an energy of also end up being in a space where there is a desire to be able to have open communication. It feels like it's making the communication feel more so direct and less confusing with this person. So I'm going to clarify these cards. We have the Chariot. We do have more Cancer energy. Could be dealing with another Cancer. We have the Ten of Swords. It's in the reverse. And we've got the Seven of Pentacles. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Cups. So this Page of Cups showing up over here does feel like a pretty emotionally open energy when it comes to a situation. I do feel like with this Two of Swords showing up in the reverse, this does feel like it's a sense of being able to have clarity. And also, I do feel like also the communication lines kind of picking up and opening. I do feel like with the Page of Swords, this feels like a pretty vulnerable energy and kind of a sense of being able to put oneself out there emotionally. So I do feel like being able to communicate over where somebody's coming from on an emotional level. So I do feel like there's a vulnerable energy in the communication, but I do feel like with this Page of Cups, this feels like there's feelings in the connection. I do feel like there's a sense of having a connection that does feel like it is coming from a space of being emotionally invested. I do feel like with the Chariot card, this does feel like an energy of forward movement. I do feel like with the Four of Swords in the reverse, this feels like a sense of being able to get out of what may have felt like a sense of isolation as far as hearing from somebody or even being in a space where things could have felt a little bit stuck. I do feel like somebody being in a position where it's like it's like they've taken time to be able to get better for themselves. And I do feel like it's also reflecting in this connection and how they are kind of dealing with you in this connection. With the Chariot card showing up over here, this feels like forward movements. I do feel like there's a sense of being able to have progress and being able to experience the sense of kind of this person is in a space where there's a sense of certainty that they have come to, or this sense of knowing what they want. And I do feel like there's Two of Swords in the reverse. There's no confusion. It feels like more clear energy as well. I do feel like with the Chariot, this also could be travel happening as well. So I do feel like there could be a desire to be able to travel, or there could be a plan to travel in the near future when it comes to this connection. And I feel like it's affecting this connection in a positive way. But with the Ten of Swords showing up in the reverse, this does feel like an energy of actually having gone through a lot. When it comes to this connection, I do feel like it is one that may have made a very big impact, and it could have been one that felt like it was difficult or even painful at one moment or at some time. I do feel like with the Six of Swords showing up in the reverse, this feels like an energy of there being somewhat of it's like this connection or this encounter in this connection has made a mark. I do feel like it makes it difficult to move on from. So I do feel like there's a desire to be able to work through something before being able to really move on from a situation. So this Ten of Swords showing up over here, this feels like a very persistent energy when it comes to being able to work something out. I do feel like with this Ten of Swords, this feels like a sense of wanting to hang on and wanting to hang on for the sake of kind of resolve things. And I do feel like with this Ten of Swords in the reverse, this also feels like an energy of being able to see everybody's true colors in a situation. It feels like a very vulnerable energy as far as being able to see people in a very authentic light. But I do feel like with this Ten of Swords, this feels like an energy of not being in a space where you're not giving up on this. I do feel like this person also not giving up on this as well. With the Seven of Pentacles, this does feel like this connection does feel like it is one that requires work to be able to make it work. I do feel like that's something this person doesn't shy away from. They're going to put in the efforts to make this connection work because they do care about you. I do feel like they care about you quite a lot. I do feel like on an emotional level, they're quite invested. And with the Seven of Pentacles showing up over here, this feels like an energy of being ready to put in that work into making this connection work, and even into being able to fix a hurt from the past or a situation that feels like it's difficult to be able to move around. Feels like you are going through it as opposed to going around it. With the Seven of Pentacles showing up over here, this feels like an energy of being ready to put in that work. So I'm going to clarify these cards. So we have release your ex, and we have retreat. And we have the reconciliation card. So this release your ex card showing up over here, this does feel like a shift in the energies. This feels like a new slate that's being turned over. I do feel like with this release your ex card showing up over here, it feels like a sense of kind of letting go of a of a situation that no longer serves you. I do feel like this person also letting go of this past energy that is no longer serving them and being in a space where they are really letting go of something that's kind of holding them back or even burdening them, is allowing for them to be able to show up for this connection in a way that allows it to thrive. I do feel like with the release your ex card showing up over here, this I'm also getting is pertaining to Two of Swords in the reverse. This feels like an energy of somebody who's in a space where they're making a decision to let go of something that they cannot see themselves in. I do feel like there's a sense of being able to release something that they are aware is no longer serving them, is not going to serve this connection. I do feel like with the retreat card showing up over here, this does feel like an energy of kind of taking time out to be able to really focus on self, and even when it comes to self-care or even when it comes to being able to pour into yourself. I do feel like with this retreat card showing up over here, this does feel like an energy of being able to kind of prioritize that. I do feel like there's a sense of being able to gain a lot from being able to really put some focus on yourself as far as your healing journey, and even as far as yourself and where you are at as far as being made better in a lot of different aspects. I do feel like with this retreat card showing up over here, this feels like an energy of being able to really experience kind of prioritizing self and focusing on self and being able to get a lot from that. I do feel like with this 10 of Swords showing up in the reverse, this does feel like an energy of really experiencing something that may have felt like it was unexpected, or it may have felt like it was something that felt like it was I feel like even a little bit hurtful with this 10 of Swords. But I do feel like there is a sense of a will to be able to kind of to work through something. But I do feel like there's a sense of kind of being able to really to be able to step back and ensure that you're okay in the situation and be able to prioritize yourself and be able to really be there for yourself as far as pouring into your own cup and focusing on self for this before really prioritizing this connection ahead of yourself. There is reconciliation, and I do feel like there's a sense of somebody who wants to be able to return to your life. I do feel like there's a sense of somebody from past returning to this connection with the 6 of Swords in the reverse as well. I do feel like there's a sense of somebody who's in a space where it's like they've gotten a lot of things together. And with this 4 of Swords show up in the reverse, this does feel like there could have been a sense of them withdrawing from the situation for a period of time. I do feel like they were working something out. With the reconciliation card showing up over here, there's a sense of them wanting to return to this connection. I do feel like there's a sense of wanting to make a return into your life as well, and to reconcile and work something out with you. So those are the messages I'm getting with these cards for you, Cancer, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, Cancer.